Isn't this funny how one thing that's really funny to me is that, and I'm gonna press record on my end. I wonder if we both press record.
Yeah, well,
Does that matter?
it should probably, it'll save it on your computer too, or in your cloud.
It says, please ask the host to give your permission to record. Is there an option for that?
I don't share screen. I don't know where it's not asking me anything.
It's weird. Yeah, let's see. Well, you're recording, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's weird.
Okay, and my girlfriend's gonna walk in the door in like a second, but it'll be fine. She'll go. She has a call coming up too. But what I was gonna say was when this whole thing is so meta to me, because it's like, okay, what are we talking about here? We're talking about feeling better / we're in the realm of living life, you know what I mean? And that's why when I found your work to me is speaking the exact language that I need to hear. So then when you when you're messaging me saying I'm not maybe in the best place or whatever, to me that speaks all like expectation, like I have an expectation. And like, do you see how hard it is to stay in this like lane, which is like why I was so excited to pivot then, because I'm like, okay, perfect, real world example in time of me and you coming together and pivoting with using other resources, which you're using me as a resource, I'm using you as a resource.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I was actually really happy to talk. Like, part of me was like, should I not even do it? Because I hit a low. Yeah, between yesterday and today, I've hit a low that I haven't hit in a long time. And it's just collective. It's because like I said, I sifted through, I paid too much attention to what was going on politically. And not that I think it's wrong to pay attention at all, of course, but I know what it does to me because I internalize, it's not the politics that bother me, it's the conversations around it and the divisiveness around it and all of that. And so I just like dipped in too far, and I didn't even mean to. It's like one of those things that just like all of a sudden you before you even realize it, you're like gone in a space that doesn't feel good. And I physically felt sick yesterday and today from being in that space. And so I was like, as I was driving home, I was trying to decide what I should do, and something just said no, like kind of like what you're saying, like you need to, this is the perfect time to connect with people. This is when we need or I believe a lot that I have to be perfect before I have to be in a right place, or I think as like a whatever spiritual person, we think we have to have it all together all the time, or be on top of our game always, or else not show up.
Which is why I always think about the ratio of people who are living life to the fullest, and I'm trying to talk without any putting boxes on any type of world that we're in, but people who speak this language and are striving to understand human technology, it's the ratio is like 1 person to like 500 people, I swear. And so it's hard, like it is, lack is so around everywhere that it's like you need to be sharpened by other knives, so to speak, to like still feel good, and not feel good but feel like restored or whatever, because I'm sure it was the same for you and a lot of other people. You've actually talked about this before, the idea of like a universal empath.
Yeah, you know what? I'm so sorry. Can you pause? My cat is clawing something, and I don't want to be picking up on the background noise.
Hold on. No, go for it. Go for it.
All right, let me smooth it. He's like jumping in a bag, or I don't know what he's doing. Sorry.
No, it's okay. What's your cat's name?
Lancelot. The gray and white is Lancelot, and then the other one's Romeo.
Oh, so you have 2?
Yeah, I have 2.
Oh my God, we just got these cats like maybe a week ago or something, and they have added so much life to my life. And I never liked cats, but I think that was a fear that I don't actually hold. I think it was just some other family stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But okay, I was gonna say that idea that you've talked about before in your videos of the universal empaths, and how much like they're hurting right now.
Yeah.
how much
Hi.
this is Julia. How much they're hurting right now. And I think even if you don't really identify with being a universal empath, if you're tapped in any kind of way, you're feeling some type of way right now.
Exactly.
You know, and I think especially with females, I can imagine how I can imagine how mind-boggling it is right now to be like, I see the unrestored or maybe harmful yang in power, and it's making other people hurt, and yet you still want to come to the rescue and like have enough space for everybody to feel better, you know?
Right.
So it's heavy.
Well, and then also like I find myself vacillating between wanting to help or nurture or hold space, to wanting to go to war, to wanting to do nothing and act like it doesn't exist at all. You know, these are like
Mm-hmm.
the human emotions I go through when I'm in the middle of feeling it all. And there's such an anger. And it's interesting because when I'm in it, or when I'm out of it, I should say, I'm so, you know, when you get into that space where you're just like, you're looking at everything from a bird's eye view and you feel kind of emotionally removed. You don't feel your emotional body plugged into it at all. So you can kind of see the patterns. You can see it for what it is. There's not, you don't, it's like you're not emotionally involved in it. But for me, when I drop into my emotional body in that space of the war, I feel like every range of emotion. I realize that it triggers me into not feeling very spiritual at all. I feel very human, very,
Mm-hmm.
very, very, very human, and very easily reactive too. And that's,
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, it's kind of humbling to be in that space. And it's like, how do you reconcile all of that with like this other space that I can get to, which just feels so like I'm cool with everything, like not cool, not that I want hurting or anything like that, but I'm allowing of life and I don't feel like I'm judging it, to
Yeah.
all of a sudden being in it and feeling like I'm judging it and I'm going to war with it and I'm fucking angry.
I
And you know
know.
what I mean? All those things. So yeah,
Right.
it's
I
weird.
know, and both of our pages we talk about like not letting yourself fall into that war, but do you see how hard it is? And that's why I just want to like empower the people slash empower myself slash empower you to be like, you have to sometimes, I literally think about it, and I've told a couple of my friends this, like a digital menu. Like I'm like, okay, I'm feeling off a bit. It's kind of like what you did to have this conversation. Like I'm feeling off. What can I use right now? I have a menu of a billion different things digitally. I could go and I can go swim in the ocean. I can go hold my cats. I can talk to Amanda Flaker.
Yeah,
What is going to give the right essence for me to be a little bit restored, you know, based on what that person or that variable of things can provide, you know?
yeah.
And yeah, so that being said, I wonder if you would be down to just like ground in just like a little bit, because I pulled 4 crystals together that I think are kind of perfect for where we're at.
Okay, perfect. Let's do it.
Yeah, so all right, let me just, so this one's malachite.
Okay,
Okay, this one is angelite.
nice.
This one's moonstone. Oops, yeah, that one's beautiful. And then this one's aragonite.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so this one reminds me of kind of like that grandfather's type love. It's
Mhm.
a grounding that says like you're here and like try and breathe this essence in it, because I did this before we got on. Like you're here, you're safe, you're sovereign, and basically grandpa has you. You know what I mean? You're on his lap and you feel okay. It's not a grounding stone that will force you there when you're not asking for it, like some of my other stones will. This one just is like, I'm here for you, and it kind of makes me emotional already just because it's like, shit, that's the truth. You know what I mean? So I pulled this one in to kind of like anchor us down, because I'm feeling like this just from the beginning today, and it is a full moon. So
Yeah, I
um
forgot about that.
I know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I completely
Yes,
forgot about that.
yes,
And it's like a
this one.
moon in Aries, right?
I don't know too much about it. It's the harvest moon.
Yeah.
And just what I understand from it is like I'm leaning into it kind of like, okay, yes, shit is gonna be kind of like all over the place, but harvest moon, meaning everything I have planted I'm now ready to like lean in and harvest, where a lot of other people are experiencing the exact opposite. I need to lean in and just like really, in a really balanced, this is Moonstone, that I pulled this together because it's the most balanced yin and yang energy there is. And I feel like us together, interestingly enough, are very balanced. My inherent yang, yet being in touch with yin, your inherent yin, yet being in touch with yang. You know, I feel like this kind of just represents us and this conversation. I'm like trying to lean into it in a balanced way. Then I pulled Angel Light, because this one is kind of like a soft lob up into the angelic realm. It's not like a mystical, forceful, like, whoa, all of a sudden I'm like in a new world. This one's like, all right, we're going there together consciously. Here we go. We're rising up and like we're in touch now. You know what I mean? And this one is my favorite one for this talk, because personally, this is what you've brought out of me. You personally, Amanda, have brought out of me, which is, this one is a heart healer stone, but it's a enlightened like leadership stone. It's kind of like, okay, get out of bed. You have all you need. I've packed your lunch and it's time to go. No questions asked, and you're going to be your best self today. You know, it's forceful, but it's not coercive. It's forceful, but it's loving.
Yeah.
And so together, I think the combination of these stones is exactly what I wanted kind of to bring together with us. And, you know, the way these work is like, you can just think about everything I just said and put that as a symbol if you want. And then just that, it just does what it needs to do.
Yeah,
you know?
I can already feel it, especially as soon as you showed me the grandfather one. What did you say it was called?
Aragonite. Yeah.
I've never seen one look like that before. That is super cool.
I love this stone so much. I just even love the shape of it. It's like a small tumbled stone, and to me, it's like, it doesn't need to be bigger. It doesn't need to have more presence. It's like, you know, your grandpa. No one knows your grandpa, but he's your grandpa. You know. And the funny thing is, I've never even had a grandpa. They both died before I was born, so I just know what that would feel like, and to me, that's what this stone is.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing those all in. I already can feel a shift. And I was also thinking something that I was thinking about in terms of when I told you I was thinking about messaging you yesterday and just saying like, hey, in the astrals, can you like surround me or something? Because I was feeling like super vulnerable astrally. And even just thinking of you, I instantly saw a grid of crystals around me. And I was so like, cool. I already like it, I didn't even need to call you because I felt your grid just, it's like you responded instantly. You were like, yep, I'm here, boom, here's your grid, boom, you're good, like don't worry.
That gives me chills.
Yeah, it was good. And I saw malachite. It's funny because that's one of the ones I saw prominently, probably because you brought it up before too. You were bringing up malachite last time we talked. But
I almost feel like out of my personality, you know, out of the all that I am and have been for every year of my life, the only version of me, because, you know, our relationship is relatively new, the only version of me that's been around with you is malachite, which is dope because it's my favorite version. But it's because, and I think that would be a really good kind of segue into like what this is, you know, between the two of us, and why malachite is so prevalent in my showing up when you're around. Because and I guess, how do I want to put it? The reason why I felt so excited that this conversation shifted from what we were going to talk about to what we're talking about now is because I'm showing up for us, essentially, in the way that I told you I thought I could when we first talked, which was like this like restored yang protector kind of, because I personally see you, as I'm sure your thousands of subscribers see you, as I literally picture you like a lone ass ranger in the astral world with a headlamp on, kind of like, you know, clumsily finding your way through it because it's uncharted territory.
Yep.
And you're out here with your background, and, you know, your followers probably know your background, but you're out here literally a leader in your field. And so I thought immediately, what could I bring to her? Because she's bringing so much to me. I could bring that almost like validation, in a sense, that your work is literally working. Like, I found you off of a random YouTube video.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I wasn't even looking for you. I was looking for something to kind of drown my brain out. And I found you. And then boom, 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 I start, you know, working with you, and then look, here we are now.
Yeah.
And it's a testament.
It totally is. And it's also a testament because when you came in, I remember when we had our first session, I felt like instantly we're meant to be, I think I said it, like, what's the word? Colleagues,
Yeah.
more than like having you be a client, or vice
Yeah.
versa, because I instantly, and I felt an instant safety, like, oh, thank God, there's another person who sees and perceives I know I'm not the only one, but you say when we talked, I remember just feeling like you get exactly what I'm saying,
Uh-huh.
deeper than anyone else has got it, especially the astral aspects of it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, yes, as you just said what you said, which did it, especially with this space I've been in today, it is so helpful to hear. And yesterday, after I called you in, when I felt your energy instantly in that was like at the night, I think right before I went to bed. And then this morning when I woke up, someone had messaged me on my website, someone who had messaged me before just to say, hey, I love your videos, thank you. And she said, it was like kind of a long message, and she said, I don't know why, but you've been on my mind, and I feel like I just need to let you know that what you're doing is working, and it's so profound, and I don't think anyone really, I don't know if you even understand exactly what you're doing, but you need to know it's working. So what you just said just now, I'm like, oh, like, and not that it's about me, because it's not, but it is uncharted territory. And it is strange when you feel this deep urge and this deep calling to speak in a way that you've never heard anyone speak, really.
Right.
But is it going to land? And the fact that not only it does land, but there's people that, like you said, find me in the most random ways. And this is why I always talk about, it doesn't matter how many followers you have or what modality you use. When we just resonate at what we are being called to do, it's like we show up, our people show up, our tribe shows up, our signal gets put out there. And I know I can feel when I'm blocking my signal because of just random lack matrix.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. And when you said that, I can't wait to watch this back, because I started tearing up already, because what that that essence of the message that came your way through that person is exactly what I feel that you're doing to people, and hundreds of thousands of people who aren't telling you that, but the work that you're doing. And I want to reframe it, because you're right, it's we all know it's not us that's doing this, but we're signing up and we're saying, I'm available as a vessel. And the work that you're doing and you're participating in is the reason why there's not more suicides, and I really feel that way, because someone who's diving this deep into the world of self-help, is that, if that's what you want to call it, self-actualization, they have felt some shit. They feel, regardless of if they've had some gnarly trauma, because trauma is relative, they've felt a certain type of way that makes them feel that they aren't good enough to take up space anymore. And they're at the point where, do I decide option A, which is to end this whole thing, or do I decide option B, which is like anything but? And anything but doesn't normally mean, if you're this down, it doesn't normally mean just getting by. It means I need to it's like, I always used to describe when I first found therapy, like, it was like kind of like when you need to go to the restroom. It's like your body just tells you, like, I gotta go, so I have to go. Like, I had to have therapy, because I was like, I'm not going to survive if I don't, And so, 6-7 years later, climb, we're having this conversation like today, and I can't imagine with 7 years of this type of work, what that will even look like.
Totally.
It's nuts. But even you, who your work is based around this, your work, you've devoted your life to this, right? Like, even you feel that lack around you even. And so it's like, who do you go to when, you know what I mean? And that's other people who speak this language for validation, for healthy validation, because I feel like validation has such a bad connotation.
Totally.
We can use validation as much as we want, So, I feel so happy, and like, I feel so, the word is balanced, I guess, talking to you, because it's like, your work helped me. I raised my hand, and now my work is here showing up for us. It's like, it's so cool. So cool.
It's powerful. I'm curious, like, what you've been feeling recently, just like in the astrals, and since we've talked last, like, what's been going off in your brain?
So I wouldn't consider myself a universal empath, and I would, and what I mean by that is, if I'm not directly, you know, impacted by a fault line, then I probably am not feeling anything for that. And I used to take that as like, I'm not empathetic. And I was like, if I'm not empathetic, I'm the most sensitive, selfish person on the planet because I am up and down, you know, moody wise. And so I've been leaning into my own power, and my power being to feel so deeply and then to communicate effectively my own fault lines that I fall on, you know, and really working with those people that are affected. So I guess what I've been feeling is actually I've been feeling a sense of confidence that I've never felt before, because my lack looks different than another empath's lack. My lack right now looks like, you know what, you really need to be caring about those people. You need to be caring about that movement. You need to be posting about that post. You know, my lack is kind of like nice right now. Do you know what I mean? My nice is like, I mean, my lack is like, you need to vote for this side because it's the nice side. It's the empathetic side. And so I'm actually like, I'm Malachi-ing up right now, and I'm saying, hold on, everyone stop. This is my vessel. Okay? And I am in charge of my own vessel, because I've always been so in touch with the yin, growing up. And I'm like, okay, everything that's coming at me, my books, like resources that are being recommended to me are very yang dominant. And obviously, you know, it's not going to come to me and then all of a sudden boost my ego to an arrogant state. I don't feel like I can carry that arrogance just because of what I've been through. So it's actually been a really definitely different experience, I would say, because I'm feeling more solid in where I'm at, which is giving 0% of myself, regardless of who comes at me any type of way. I want to give 0% of myself to the lack matrix.
Yeah.
Because if I was talking to my girlfriend about this, if I believe in this abundance world, then I have to believe with my whole self. You know, I have to believe with my whole self. So I need to do anything I can do clock time wise to give myself as much time to get into this world tangibly as possible.
Exactly.
So a lot of that has been the group that you're doing. A lot of that has been your tantric experiment group. And a lot of that has been the group that I'm putting together, which is also, it's a project, it's an experiment, because it's like, I could play around all day and say, oh God, I just got rid of my 9 to 5, which I feel like I should probably explain that eventually. You know, nothing right now in my life is sure. Nothing is 3D concrete, but I've never felt more solid.
Yeah.
You know?
I felt that way too in the beginning of me doing this work. When I was at that space where you're at, where we talked last, where you were just like, boom, I'm going in. And I had that same, and I did disconnect from the world for about 3 years. I remember thinking, I'm okay to die. Like, I felt like I was dying. And I not necessarily physically, but I knew a version of me was dying, and I was okay with letting go with that entire world and allowing room for just this new space. And it was one of the best times and most abundant times of my life, even though I wasn't making as much money as I make now. It was one of the freest times of my life. So I'm so I was about to say envious that you're there, but I'm not even envious, because I still go through pockets of that. But it's really weird how it shifts, you know, like how we can go through pockets of that and then go through pockets of, I feel like it's on the fault line. And where I'm feeling the fault line personally, where I told you I kind of hit a low yesterday, and today it's weird because most of my life, I've never been involved in politics. I not only have not been involved, but have been massively triggered just because my family fought over politics. And I always was just like, I don't give a fuck. Shut up. I don't care about either side. I don't trust either side. I can't stand either side. I can't stand the argument. To me, you look exactly the same. You're like energetically identical, both sides to me, just different talking points. But from a resonance standpoint, same exact energy. And so I've always been sort of disconnected, but there's been this really weird, I don't know that I'm a global empath either. I don't know that I would say that about myself, but I do feel weirdly this since George Floyd's death, when the algorithms online started shifting like super dramatically, and they needed to, like it needed to be brought attention to this thing, and everything shifted. But since that, it was really weird, because something that I've tracked being online, and we talk about this in the tantric group, is the psychic connection we have with the people who are connected to us, who are watching us. And I feel like for the last 10 years, really, I've been building slowly a strong psychic connection. When the George Floyd thing happened, my audience split in two different ways, and I felt it. And it wasn't a split over racist and non-racist, not at all. It was perspectives about it, and obviously it's amazing how much I feel like people shifted. But I realized how much of my audience actually was in kind of the conspiracy theory realm. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because I've gone down those tracks as well, multiple ones. And one thing I've realized about the abundance matrix, which we've talked about, is that everything exists. And what we're always dealing with at any given moment is somebody's belief. And that's why numbers and facts and all of that are almost irrelevant.
Totally.
Conversations about trauma and beliefs and experiences, because as soon as you bring up a fact but someone's had an experience, it's like you're gaslighting them. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Trauma's huge, and when trauma's on the surface, it's this massive tsunami wave of energy. And I don't feel like we as a collective we're not emotionally mature. And you can see that in online. Oh, it's not even the media. It's just politics amongst people, like little kids in a playground fighting. You know,
the debate was literally my 5-year-old self arguing with my 5-year-old friend. You know,
that's exactly what it was. Yeah. And it's brilliant in a way, because no matter what, I mean, I know there's people get really attached to their side and feel defensive over it because it's part of their identity and whatever. And I totally get that. But when you can step away and just see what you just saw, it's brilliant, because what we're getting to see is exactly where we emotionally are collectively. That's the emotional intelligence level collectively that we have. And we're seeing ourselves in both parties, for example.
Totally. It's a macrocosm of where we're at. Yeah.
And it's just interesting, I think, empathically to feel it, because for me, I've never felt married to a party. So I don't care about that. I don't care about identifying with a party or a person. I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I never liked him. But I also have just been like so aware of how media plays into this, and how not just media, but narrative, and how when you spin a narrative and any one narrative dominates, and then the fighting that happens around only this reality can be true, and anyone who doesn't agree with this reality is wrong. And that's just humanity. Is we've been doing this for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, which is why I feel so passionate about anomaly. Like the only way out is anomaly. And
100, like 1 trillion%.
And the other part of it that I'm realizing, I think where I've been triggered a little bit, is because when I have gotten feel in my emotional body plugged into the war, I feel how divisive it is, and how the narrative obviously pits us against each other. It wants us to go to war. That's the whole strategy behind it, is to divide and conquer. That's the whole point. And so where I feel my trigger is like, oh, I can't do anything about the war. And I literally feel people marching into a war that's unnecessary.
Right.
And at least it feels unnecessary to me, because I don't think that we are actually fighting about what we think we're fighting about.
Totally.
Everyone just has totally different perspectives and talking points, and we're talking around each other. And it's unbelievable. I mean, it goes so deep, because then when you get into the conspiracy theory side and stuff that you and I have tapped into, when you look at the astral side of it, and you know how multidimensional it is, and you know that this is might sound crazy to some people, but for our audience, we know that it's not just multidimensional, but it involves other worlds. Like
it's metaphysical.
Metaphysical. Thank you.
It's metaphysical.
Metaphysical. And the only control any of us have is our own energy field.
Oh man, I got chills a billion times when you were talking just now, because I feel like, okay, exactly where we're at in this conversation, we've entered Ricky's fault line. What my fault line specifically is here is I picture 1,000 little boys and little girls, and I'm probably going to get emotional. I picture 1,000 little boys and little girls being controlled. My thing has always been being controlled. I want to be me. I want to be free. I want to be me. Ask my parents. I've been saying that forever. And anything that comes a little bit oppressive, I'm like, get away from me. And you know what I mean? So what I picture is these, I don't want to put the term evil on it, but these oppressive beings, I don't even care if you think they're human, whatever you think they are, the oppressive consciousness that is debate, the oppressive consciousness that is wanting us to battle each other. I picture them sitting back and like literally just like watching and kind of just like, just gaining this awful yang power over these hundreds and like these millions of empathetic, pure, good people that, and they're like, okay, we'll train these people to think like this, we'll train these people to think like this, and we'll train all of them to think that they have to die for this thought.
Defend it. Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes me just want to get into a physical altercation with whatever consciousness. That's the only physical altercation I will ever get into my life if it comes my way. And it is that oppressive being. And I mean physical with my physical body. I mean physical with my physical self in the astral realm. Like basically in the astral realm, I picture myself as a big ass, heavy ass crystal that cannot come near. Because I'm just like, nope, that's my fault line, and I've done too much work to let you come through. So I think what this conversation is doing, / the essence that we're carrying together specifically, is creating and carving more space for people who are resonating with us right now. Mm-hmm. Resonating with, you don't have to battle. Your world, your apartment, your condo, your partner, your dog, your cat, you all can live in harmony.
Yep.
While other people seemingly are not living in harmony, because it's all an illusion anyway. Exactly. If you look at someone's life, you have no idea what's going on in their life, because if you did, you can make decisions for them, and we all know you can't make decisions for other people.
Yep.
So I think what this is doing is, because when you were talking, I was like, all of a sudden I remembered that we're going to be like probably posting this or aspects of this, and I was like, oh, let me tap into who might be listening. And I just want to say to you who's listening, that there's not only space, but there is an unlimited amount of space. Think of the word unlimited. There, like you say all the time, there's unlimited amount of real estate in the astral world for you to go get your condo, get your apartment, get your shack, get your mansion on the shore, in the desert, on the beach, wherever. Go get it. Go pack it nice with everything that you love and sit in it and watch that trickle down to your real world here. And that's the work that you're doing, and that is the malachite that you have unlocked in me. So you basically gave me a headlamp, and you gave me my gear, and you're like, okay, I've already ventured down here. You go venture that way. Find some other people to venture down this way, because this world is not about competition.
Exactly. We don't want nothing to be competitive about, because there's enough.
If someone, okay, a really tangible example in this, a tangible way that lack can attack our industry, if you want to even call it that, is, let's say one of my followers or someone who really resonates with me all of a sudden unsubscribes. The worst thing that could happen, unsubscribes and just goes to Amanda and is like, oh, Amanda's my girl, I've been looking for her, and Rick, I found her through Ricky. To me, I serve my purpose with that subscriber. Exactly. And I've passed her off to someone who is divine, you know what I mean? And like that person will be fueled by you, and then find someone new. And like, if you think in terms of the creative, this book I'm reading actually talks about the creative mind versus the competitive mind, and the only way to really experience what we're talking about right here, which is heaven on earth, is go with the creative mindset of all that ever was and all that ever will be. And there is more than enough for everyone and their mom and their mom's mom too.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well, and I think what you're talking about too, when you brought up the astral real estate, and that there's literally so much room. There's an infinite amount of space. There's an infinite amount of thought realms we can venture into, and an infinite amount of creative solutions and ideas. But when we focus on the problem, and from a standpoint of lack, which is like, my reality can't exist unless you agree with me, and until you agree with me, it's not valid. That's where we're off in the lack matrix, and that's why we keep going to war, because we can't get our heads around the fact that everything exists. And once it's like, if you're a creator, you got to know you work with all the colors, and there's dark and there's light and there's everything in between. There's not just purple. Yes. There's not just white light, and nothing else exists outside of this, because if there's another color, then it invalidates my color that I'm using.
Totally.
Kind of the way we are trained to think. But as you were talking about the oppressive mindset that is pitting us against each other, whatever that is, it is true though. It's whatever the consciousness is that keeps the lack matrix in place, which is a hive mind mentality. It needs lots of people to fuel it. And that's why there's a war over it. We can't have, if you want to control people, you can't have them thinking in a diverse way.
Totally.
The hive mind is what's at work here. And that's where I actually realize I get fearful sometimes, because I've personally experienced it. I've personally been literally locked in and robotic. I have felt like straight up AI before, in terms of tuning into the hive mind and just being a robot. Oh, here's the narrative. It was downloaded to me. This is how I'm meant to feel. This is how you're supposed to feel. This is how you need to see the world. This is who the enemy is. And if you don't get on track, you're either for us or you're against us. I was about to say I'm against. That's not really what I meant, but I can see the dangers of that narrative. I don't even care if what the narrative they're giving you is right or righteous or good. If it's in that box, it's lack, and it's perpetuating lack. And and I think the biggest thing that, at least for me, that's been kind of hard, I guess, but things like this have been super helpful, which is that you do have to go at it alone. You're the only one in charge of your resonance. Like you said, no one can do it for you.
100%.
So it's kind of, we're relational to our core, and we crave the hive mind because we feel so alone and empty and purposeless. So getting angry and feeling like we have some war to fight feels better than feeling just like alone and empty inside, you know?
Totally.
We haven't like moved through to the, like, what would happen if humans got together, all of us that are pissed about oppression and bullshit, actually come up with solutions. Like, I think the majority of humans absolutely would condemn oppression, any form of it, any form of ism, it's all under the lack matrix.
Yeah.
And lack oppresses everybody, no matter what form it comes in or what color or what ism it shows up in. It's oppressive. Right. And it keeps us enslaved to the hive mind. And so I think that, I don't know, I'm just realizing there is a Lone Ranger part of it. Like you said, when you were saying that with me with the headlamp on, I almost started to cry, because like I said, when I talked to you, just the fact that you could see me, and I've had other people be able to see me, but it's usually women. And I've noticed that recently more men have come into my life, and more men that I know are going to be colleagues. And there is something in my whole soul that is like, oh my gosh, thank God totally. Men are starting to surround me. And like, I feel protected, you know, like in a different way, just with a different type of energy that's helping to balance things out for me, which is why I appreciate you so much.
I tear up again. And anytime a female is talking and feels a sense of relief around me, and this isn't obviously a completely non-lack way, you know, and what I mean by that is females do not need males to come through and save them. Right. But every time a female feels relief, especially from something that causes so much trauma, which are the toxic masculinity, I get just like full of emotion, because it's like women, I just feel like women carry 1 billion pounds on their backs, and they carry it not only for themselves to survive, but they carry it for us. They carry it for me, and they carry it for humanity. Think about Mother Earth. You know what I mean? That's why I think it's funny when people are like so sad about Mother Earth. And I'm like, you guys, Mother Earth is more, she's been around the block. She's seen things with different eyes, different ears, different ways of communicating. She's chilling, you know, she's hurting, but she's hurting like you are. You're not here to save Mother Earth. You're here to collaborate with her, you know? Yep. And what you were talking about is the Lone Ranger type, I feel like we're talking to a whole new lane of people all of a sudden when you said that, because I do feel when you get on your spiritual journey, whatever journey you want to call it, I roll my eyes at that because I don't want any boxes around it. When you get on your journey of self-actualization and intentional living and living, period, it does feel like you're lonely. And I feel like the beauty in that is you can then learn. It's a very easy and forceful way to turn and see that everything is alive. Like if you're alone and your parents aren't getting you, your brother and sister aren't getting you, your best friends have shunned you, your ex thinks you're crazy, guess what you can turn to? You can turn to your animals, you can turn to the plants, you can turn to the ocean, you can turn to the crystals, you can turn to anything that you resonate with, regardless of if you used to think that that thing wasn't living. Because it is living. Even you could turn to these books. I have a stack of books right here, like especially journals. Like you can turn to a journal and see this not as a thing of blank pages, but as a space for you to go run in. And this is the only quote unquote being that you need to be with right now. Mm-hmm. You're not losing out by not being with other humans. Yeah. You need to be here. And and that's more lack. That brings up more lack. It's like, okay, well, if I'm here, I'm just writing in my journal. Like I'm not producing anything. I'm not being productive, but really you're being uber productive. Yeah. You're being because you're coming back to the middle, So I just want to say that too. And I hope someone resonated with that. I'm sure they did. Because when I first started, I was feeling like really alone, really, 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 really lonely, which was the best place for me to be.
Exactly. Well, and I love that you said we can essentially have communion with anything. Mm-hmm. Everything is consciousness. And I think that a big part of sovereignty is learning how to have communion with life force itself. Yeah. The life force within you and the energy around you. The more we can, and I think that's also involves getting more heightened in our senses. It's why becoming more sensitive, feeling more is actually the way out. Like the way out of the trauma, instead of numbing up and walling up and armoring up, which is what we've had to do in the Black Matrix in survival mode. Right. So there's this vulnerable part where it's like, okay, I'm actually dissolving my walls. I'm actually going to feel more. I'm actually going to be more vulnerable. And you've seen it even just in the first round of the tantric entrepreneur experience. Like I allowed myself to be a lot more vulnerable than I ever have been in like a group. And I let it go wherever I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. I was just like, hey guys, I'm experimenting. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing here, but thanks for showing up. I'm going to cry multiple times. And it was really an interesting experience. But what I realized is that even if let's say, which no one did, but even if someone hated it or judged me for it or whatever, it's actually about how well I can handle my own energy and sensitivity and how well I can witness myself in that.
Totally. And especially with the way that because the meta, the non-tangible work we're talking about is so involved and it's so layered, and it's why poets are some of the most creative people on the planet, because they can do that. But the whole other aspect to it is you do have to go and type on your little computer and work with these 3D tools, right? Exactly. And I find that the way you're doing it with the live, it's some might think like, oh well, it's not a call, it's not like a back and forth or whatever, but that lack mentality is that I'm not going to be getting anything from just watching. Mm-hmm. But I see it the complete opposite way. I'm like, do you know what Amanda's doing? She's putting herself, I always say the well. I don't know why I say the well. She's going to the well, which is that source of all scary things and, chills and like trauma. She's going there consciously, intentionally. And she's not only doing it for herself, she's doing it as an act of collective healing, because she's like, I'm going to let you watch me do this. And that's what the class is. Yeah. Regardless of if you went on and just talked about your family and you didn't even have terms, the intention, the resonance that I picked up on was already picked up on before I paid the money to be in the group. Totally. So you could go on there and just read the dictionary and go through the feelings, and I would get the same thing. Yeah. So I think that's important for you to hear too, because I've actually never told you that, but that's something for you to remember, that the coaching aspect comes not in you actually looking eye to eye with people. It's just letting people witness you, and you have no control over if someone can witness you in the way that you want them to. You
Yep.
already set the intention out there, and I can pretty much guarantee you 9 out of 10 of those people totally get what I just said.
Totally. Well,
You
that
know?
was what was so fascinating about that first round, is because I limited it to 10 people. I think 11 people came in altogether, 12, because I let a couple more people in. And I was nervous. I purposely capped it because I was like, and I was selective about who came in.
Yeah.
I didn't feel good. If I didn't just feel an immediate yes, I would say no. But what was so badass about you, and a lot of, like, several people in the group are people I've worked with before, like you, all gifted as well. Also, all people who are having some sort of social media platform. So you guys get it on a different level.
Yeah.
Also all empaths. And what I found is that, we set it up to, like, this is a conversation, even though I'm the one talking. That, I think it was the second live when we did that. I have never had an experience like that, where I felt all of you so powerfully sending different kind of energy, showing up in a different, I felt like there was this whole psychic, almost like we could have not said anything.
Totally.
And it's like group making love. Like, it was unbelievable. I was like, I've never experienced that. And I remember the next day, one of the people in the group was like, I had to take a day to process that. Like, that was the most powerful, intense experience I've ever had in my life. And I don't even know, it wasn't about what I said. It wasn't about the words. We all energetically connected at a level that I knew we could. That's why I called it an experiment, because some source told me, you guys haven't even tapped into what you're capable of as empaths, particularly as humans. It's a human ability, but the people who have a more heightened ability to do this, to just show up and to feel and to include their energy body in the equation, and to intentionally influence the space to create heaven on earth, to make it more tantric, to feel, holy shit. Like, and I'm so excited about this second round, but I'm blown away by you guys. I have never been blown away by a group more than I was with you guys in that moment. And I'm like, okay, this group is like top notch.
Right. It's because thoughts become realities, right? Like, our experience doesn't happen until it happens here. It goes through stages. It happens here. So you already experienced this by thinking it. And so now you're just sitting here watching, like, oh, that's cool. That essence is coming through Ricky today. That essence is coming through other group member. That essence is coming through the comments we post while you're going live. It's the same thing that I feel with the group that I'm putting together. It's like, the reason I'm able to know what the outcome is going to be is because I've already seen it. So when I reach into the group of women, I'm like, oh, wow, that's going to happen. Sweet. I can't wait to see what that looks like in the form. In the world of form, you know what I mean? And then you get to just play. That's what creation is. Like, you get to be like, okay, cool. I'm gonna do it in a Facebook group, and I'm gonna do Zoom calls, and I'm gonna do a survey, and you can do whatever you want, because that is so minuscule. It doesn't even matter. Like you said, we could have been on there just like staring at each other. You know what I mean? If the resonance is that real, you can just, you already are just there. Just like, I can already feel hundreds of people hearing us and being like, thank God. Thank God. Like, they're letting, they're being witnessed through what we're saying, and I can't even name anyone, but I can feel them. And I've always felt that, and you don't even know how it feels. Maybe you do. I feel like I've been, contrary to a lot of other people in their spiritual walk, I've been tapped in, for so long. As we know, those of us that are tapped in, that doesn't mean life is easy, period. It means it's hard and clumsy. I've been tapped in for so long that, it coming to fruition, like right here in this call, and me being able to quit the 9-to-5 world and be able to wake up and go play tennis or go swim, and then work by having this call work, you know what I mean? Live. It is like, good job, little 12-year-old Ricky, who endured so much pain and like worked so hard. This is what you get to deserve. You get to deserve an amazing partner. You get to deserve an amazing platform. You get to deserve an amazing disposition toward life. That's the biggest thing. You get to deserve loving life. And with that comes experiencing hardship, and comes experiencing elation, comes experiencing your cat dying, getting a cat. Like, it comes, it comes with all of it, but you get to be like, oh, I'm the witness. Sweet. This is cool. This is super cool. And this right here, how meta this conversation is, and how layered it is, is like, it's the new, you know, you said this before, it's the new way of creating. It's not so cathartic.
Yep.
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
And what are we doing? We're just talking.
Just talking. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and also just what the tantric group has showed me is just how powerful it is when we start practicing energetically communicating. Because it is way more meta, and there's so much more that we can know without words, because we already know it and our soul already knows it. And it's not about finding anything out or going to seek it and then convincing each other. That's all part of that it's the lack matrix, essentially. And it has its place. It's not wrong. But whoa, it's a different game when you're like, it's already all here. And I just need to sink into it, open up to it, allow it, like expand. And then this amazing conversation that starts happening. What I felt in the group a few times in our lives is that us coming together, and I felt like the exact opposite of being in a cave by myself with a headlamp. I felt surrounded by just pure love, like not even just love, it's like intelligence and that space that I keep feeling, which is like, whoa, infinite potential. And why aren't we tapping into this? And all that matters is that those of us who can and aware of it do, rather than going to war with the people who aren't. And that's what I have to be careful. Not that I go to war, but sometimes I slip into a fear space where I feel like I have to convince people that they should do this or they're not going to do it. And my inner being's like, no, you don't have to convince anyone of anything. You need to do it. That's it. Just do it.
Right.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it.
And you make a good point, because it doesn't just stop there. Because I feel like a lot of us, I'll just say me. I had a big problem before before engaging with you, really, and showing myself to the world. Mind you, I was in the 9-to-5 world, so I didn't have as much clock time to let myself dance and be free and basically frolic.
Right.
I had a problem putting myself out there, not because I was scared to put myself out there, but because I saw it as selfish. See how the lack tells you to still stay in your freaking box? It's like, dude, post a video, and if one person likes it, yay. And if 10 people hate it, who cares? Like, it's like, is it? So when I finally made the switch from 9-to-5 world, for me, which is oppressive, not for oppressive for everybody, when I made the switch from that to abundance world, with my actions and my behaviors, it was like, oh, okay, so you don't have to think that anymore. You're free. Go, post it, talk, do the thing, create. And that's why I created Ray Ray, which is my alter ego, which is now pretty integrated with who I am. But Ricky still holds lots of doubt, and he still has nights where he's like, I can't post anything, I can't even do anything, I'm just down, you know what I mean? And so I created more clock time and more worldly space for the confident side of me, for the Malachite side of me, and I named him Ray Ray, and I made him an Instagram. And with Ray Ray doesn't carry doubt, Ray Ray doesn't carry negative vibration. And so I gave myself that. And I recommend this to anyone who's watching this, and even you if you haven't done it. Like, before our call, I had to go take a cold shower to get into Ray Ray mode, because it's just something that I like to do. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm exiting the day that I had, and now I'm entering a new space in the day. And that intention behind all of those things causes you to feel better and vibrate higher. And I hope that you're feeling, because like from the beginning of our talk, we pivoted because we both weren't feeling so up, but now I feel so much more restored.
Me too. Yeah. And it's just the power of that, of communion. It's the power of communion. And I love what you said about, I think that, well, there's two things. One, I think that creating an alter ego is part of that, utilizing the astral world, utilizing our creativity and our imagination, and stepping, like, imagine who you would want to be and step into that. Just see it, just play a role. Like, who cares? That fake it till you make it kind of energy. But also, I think that there is, when I tap into this space that we're talking about, that we're in right now, I feel nothing but excitement for the world.
I know.
My inner being knows it at the deepest level of I know this is why I came. I know I've been here multiple times. I know we all, our tribe, we're like, we came for this time on purpose, because it's so multidimensional. And therefore the potential for expansion is huge.
Right.
It also means the potential to get stuck in the other side is huge as well. And that dance between those two worlds, it's like, it's pretty epic, honestly. Like it's like, wow, you know, it's insane. But wow, I just feel like when I feel into our collective tribe, we're building heaven on earth. That is
I
what we're
know.
doing, and it's already here. It's already established. We're already living. There's people that are literally already have engineered a world that of complete sustainability, and we already have amazing, brilliant people that have already come up with technologies and solutions to nothing we. Everything we need is available to us.
Totally,
Just we're
Amanda.
holding it back because we're waiting to decide who's right and who's wrong and who deserves and who doesn't deserve, instead of just stepping into it, which is why like we each individually just have to do it, with even if other people aren't doing it.
When you were talking about that collective, in like not only consciousness but intelligence, I pictured the same thing. I picture in the astral world, but living here, but being here on earth, that those people that are doing that, bringing heaven down to earth and to their actual 3D realities, I picture it kind of like, okay, I need a doctor today. Oh, I got a doctor here. There's a doctor. Okay, I need a script, or like someone really techie. I don't even, I'm obviously not techie. I need a developer, an engineer. Oh, I got one. Okay, great. Like I need a lawyer. I got one. I need a whatever. I need a CPA. I got it. Because I also want to encourage that thought too, that if you've tapped into the 9 to 5 or the world of lack or the whatever for the majority of your life, regardless of how old you are, it is not for nothing. There's nothing for nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing is for nothing. You've developed skills and actual probably interests. Like there's a difference between typing on a computer all day and being cool with that, and then being a salesperson and talking to people, like different skill sets. It's because you're meant to use the essence of that skill set to restore heaven on earth, and you can do that in any way you want. So it's just so cool when I think me and you, our roles are just more similar, like whatever you want to, whatever term or label you want to put on what we're doing. I actually would like to hear your take on that, because that would be a whole nother conversation. But we're not doctors with private practices, but there's people that are doing what we're doing in the essence, and doing that through the medium of private practice, doctor. So it's cool. I totally feel that. I feel like I'm like happy, and I'm just like, oh, amazing. Like this is all real. Everything I want to be real is real. In front of me, and it's here. It's here right now.
Yeah, and I think that these conversations are what I feel really excited about having more and more of on my channel, and just overall with people who are in it and who feel called to it, because I feel like we build the bandwidth. We strengthen the bandwidth, and it just becomes more attractive, because part of exiting the lack matrix is you have to see that something else is even available, that another option even exists, that it exists in the 3D, that someone's literally living it out completely, and it shifts things when you realize that. When I realized I didn't want to do marketing and all the bullshit when I first started, I was like, none of that resonates with me. I kept thinking of my friend Rachel, who I've collaborated with now, and we're going to continue to collaborate, but she's never ever had a website. I think that's about to change, because she's getting more public. She's kind of been public through my channel in a secretive way.
Yeah, sweet. I've heard of this Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel's going to be revealed soon. She's a badass, but she's never had a website, never even had a business card, and is a badass. Like, has worked with clients from all over the world, has been flown all over the world. Like, she was in many ways my model. She was married and stuff, so had a different kind of security in that way. But regardless, I remember thinking, she runs her whole business without anything like that at all. And makes her own money and is a freaking badass. It's all word of mouth. When you're potent and you're in your lane and you're using your gifts, it's effortless, because it is word of mouth. If you are really showing up in all that you are, you don't really need marketing to do the work for you. The resonance will take care of it,
Right. Oh my God, 100%. And one thing I want to say to whoever resonates with this, the biggest thing, I feel like when I look this way, I'm talking to more people. Like the biggest thing that I've learned from your work, Amanda, is, and I'm talking about people who are entrepreneurs or who just want to make moves, make literal money moves. The biggest thing that has helped me, and that I know is a code with a $, is be cognizant of mimic.
Yes.
If you feel like you need to have an email subscription and have a template that is kitschy, because other successful people with millions of followers on Instagram have the same, and it doesn't hit different, it doesn't hit here and hit the right chord, then I would say be anomalous and do something different. Because that's what I'm doing. Like, if you look at my Instagram, it is not in any way professional. I do handwritten notes. I do, like, you know, I do whatever comes from right here. I'm pointing down here to my sacral chakra.
Yeah.
I do whatever makes my sacral chakra feel whole and nice and right and like, wow, you know? And that's the biggest thing that I've learned in this world. And so Rachel is a perfect example, seemingly, of doing exactly that. She's like, why at this point in my career would I need a website if it's going to cost me energy to hold the website when I could just be focusing on getting that abundance? And I don't just mean money.
Yes, exactly.
So that is one thing that you've really honed in on me, and that has been a tangible takeaway from your experiment of the tantric experience and experiment. And I think it's important to, I think this would be a good idea for you, actually, to go with the group and try to get from round one, like, what did you actually take away with this? Because that's data. That's data to coach on later. You know, and I'm sure you've been thinking about that. And round two is going to be sick too. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
We could collaborate in so many ways. There's infinite. I picture a panel. I picture us like moderating a panel.
Yes.
And like,
badass.
Wouldn't that be cool? And like throwing people into breakout groups here on Zoom. And the cool thing is we can do it from our homes, because now the facade of showing up and looking ready is now no more. You just show up how you want to feel.
Exactly. I'd like today. I just showed up. I've been on a ski lift. My hair was all like a huge, just wind-blown mess. I've been so energetic, and something in me was like, whatever, just show up. Because, you know, I was thinking, do we need to reschedule? And then I just heard, show up exactly as you are. And then I was happy that you were like, yes, like this is what we should do.
Totally.
And I just am like, yeah, I'm so done with needing to be anywhere I'm not. And I think meeting ourselves exactly where we are is the only way really to raise our vibe. We have to first meet ourselves where we are. So
aren't you done with feeling anything but full? Like, I'm just done. Like, I'm not saying to reject parts of you that are sad that you need to process.
Right.
But what I'm saying is I'm done feeling doubtful of myself. Like, I'm just over that shit. Like, I have too many.
My worth,
I have too many resources. Now I have a friend in Amanda. I have Amanda's following. All the comments that you get are, to me, always so inspiring. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah.
Again, because there's different types of empaths out there. So, I mean, the land we're frolicking in right now is the land I want to live in, and that's the land I am living in, and you are as well. So I just appreciate you. And look how cool this conversation turned out.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome.
You know? Yeah.
And perfect timing. My sister should be here in about 5 minutes. So
perfect.
And it looks like my computer is about to die, which is also perfect timing.
And energetically, I feel like it wrapped too.
Totally, we wrapped.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it ramped up and now came down to a perfect little close, and we can go about our days.
Yes.
So
well, let's do this again. I think I'm so down with like just tapping into what we want to talk about. It's so much more refreshing to me. I want to have conversations. It's been a while since I've just sat down and recorded a video just for YouTube, because I want someone else. I want to talk. Like, I've posted excerpts of my lives and stuff, or conversations I've had with people, but I feel like we need blood in the game, you know?
Oh,
like,
totally.
Blood in the game.
Is your vision to kind of like, with this particular video, because I feel like posting this raw would be dope. I'm down. Yeah, just like, hey, this is what happened. This is what happened, and you can preface it in the description, or maybe even like a pre-video or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think what might be helpful. Well, we could also talk about this later, but I think what might be helpful, what I'll probably do is introduce who you are to me, and then just let it be raw, and like. And you can maybe do the same on yours, and like, who is Ray? Like, what's kind of the point? And then just let it speak for itself. Yeah.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I'll record an intro for this, and let's just set the intention that it'll be easy to figure out how to transfer this to a video. I know it's on my computer. It says it's recording, so.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's actually just downloads as the perfect video format. You can just upload it to YouTube.
Oh, sweet. Oh,
yeah.
Well, brilliant. So I'll just create an intro and add to it, and then I'll get your social media stuff, put it in the description box. I have another video. I'd probably post it towards the end of next week if that works.
This one?
Of next, this video. Does it?
Okay, I'll do the same timing so we can kind of like, I think it'd be kind of fun and it'd be very 3D creative to like ramp it up in that way, kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, we're both dropping it. We're both dropping. Like I want to do like a playful fun thing all week because it just taps into me like 5 more days till like my conversation with Amanda drops.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So I'll text you after so you can go about your way now and we'll find the day and then I'll just do all on my own. I'll just do like my own little play because it's fun.
Yeah.
And if you could, can you send this to me?
Yeah. I'll
Sooner than later,
Yeah.
whenever. But I want to like listen to it and really hear the essence so I can understand what I'm
What
talking
we're
about.
doing. Yeah, perfect. And I'll also, this is total side note, but I can fill out your survey tomorrow and I'll send it.
Oh yeah.
When
Does
when is the first conversation again?
This is perfect because I was thinking about it and I want you, because of how much you fuel me, okay? I want you to feel like this is costing you very little clock time, okay? Because like I said, like I feel like your role in this is not necessarily to be a full-blown participant, but to really hold space for me because look how much you bring out of me. You
Yeah.
bring so much out of me.
I
So
love it.
I would love for you to be there on the first one. And so I had people vote on the times that work for everybody and everyone chose Wednesday.
This
So
Wednesday?
it'll be, yeah, the 7th. And I want to do it from 3 to 4:30. So that would be 4 to 5:30 your time.
Okay, that works perfect. I have a session at 3 my time. So, and it's only 30 minutes. So
Okay.
that's perfect. So I can get on at 4.
So can I send you a calendar invite now?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That way it's at least in your calendar and I'll come through later with the all the other stuff like the Zoom link and stuff like that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So 4 o'clock to 5:30 your time on Wednesday.
And it's a Zoom call, right?
It's a Zoom call and I'm gonna post the content of the Zoom call